how is AI used in healthcare? Because there's a few different ways that it's used. That maybe make it more specific. If we haven't already lost all the healthcare people, John, let's talk about what we can do with it.
Great. Well, perhaps you could come up with something that'll be simple and clear, because
I don't know, John.
Struggling throughout.
Whether it's simple and clear or not, you give me the artificial, answer that it isn't. So the first thing that's maybe the most obvious is like an image analysis. So we're looking at like a mammogram or a pathology slide, and you can get to faster, more accurate diagnoses. Or even think about at the dentist. You get dental X-ray, and you can help the patient and the dentist understand what they're seeing and what to do about it. So computer can do a great job of looking at all these patterns, saying, is that a tumor? Does it look like other tumors, for example? So image analysis, I think, is a real clear example. The next one, John, is a little bit, I think, really profound potentially, but it's not so easy to get to. And that is about making healthcare more personalized and responsive. So part of it is something like building more like immersive 3D experiences, like virtual reality. So, for example, some companies are working on this. If you're working in physical therapy and need to get some specific exercises to work on your neck or your shoulder, it gets to be very specific. And then precision medicine, going beyond like saying a diabetic, you didn't get your eye exam, to things that are much more personal and relate to a lot of the different data they have and can help with how someone's actually going to engage. So that sort of personalized, responsive healthcare, John.
But that's a really good example. Finally, you're starting to get into specifics here, David. But for example, in just the county of the borough of Brooklyn, there's over 200 different languages spoken. Mm-hmm. If we could
leverage all the various hipster dialects, or
those are, and a machine could help nurses and PAs and PTs and doctors actually translate and contextualize what people are experiencing. More than 30% of a physician's evaluation of someone with a problem is really through back and forth contact. I think the computer assisted analysis, particularly that solves for language and context, could be incredibly powerful. Another example, a very specific example to your point, is in radiology, where you can automate and simplify the scans by taking what a radiologist has developed 20 or 30 years, programming that into a computer, testing it against data, because that data is very standardized. One of the only ways and one of the hardest challenges now is not the power of the computer or the ability to come up with an algorithm, again, a program that answers a question, but really cleaning up the data, making sure you've got a reasonable test data set to see whether what you're getting is accurate or whether it's misleading. And then turns out cleaning up that data so that you really have a great data set to work with is kind of hard unless everything is standardized and simple, like for example, billing codes or imagery that a dermatologist or a radiology can take a look at and say, yes, that's a tumor, or that's a mole that doesn't look right versus not. That turns out to be one of the big tasks right now, to really leverage the acceleration of computational power to make all of this machine learning, whether it's artificial or not, work.
John, I don't love New York, but I do love your Brooklyn example. And I think going beyond language, you talk about culture, and you talk about all these different languages. But sometimes what'll happen in terms of personalization, you might go into a diabetes clinic and they might have something in English and something in Spanish, right? But it doesn't account for how someone personally engages. So if you talk about food, talk about exercise, you talk about just housing, it's going to be different for different people. And in no way that any given clinician is going to be able to understand all of that. But if you've got the right sort of data sets and they're not trained in a biased way, you may actually be able to get the personalization beyond what any individual could do. And that could make a real difference to somebody's life.